We are up to Daf Kuf Nun Daled Amad Aleph, the very top of the page. So we had a case in the Mishnah where the shtar did not document whether he was a shchimera or whether he was a healthy person. Generally speaking, that's what they normally would do, but there was nothing there. And now he recovered. He claims that when he gifted them, it was not done as a gift of a bori, it was given as a shchimera. Even if you only gave partial lechasim, but I said because of dying, and they say no, it isn't. You were a bari, you were healthy, and you gave it to us as a gift, and it's ours. So what happens? Rameir says that he has to prove that he was a shchimera at the time, and so yeah, he has to bring witnesses. So tzarich lahavi edim. He has to bring witnesses that he was a shchimera at the time. Otherwise, we give it over to the beneficiaries. And the reason is, we said, because the chazaka of now tells us that probably that's how we were before. Now he's healthy, he probably was healthy before as well. And the chachamim say no. They say that the beneficiaries have to prove that actually he was a bari at the time. Otherwise, give it to him because he's a muhzik. He owned these assets till now, and therefore the previous chazaka reflects on today. Now, Rameya says you got to bring a raya. What kind of raya do they have to bring? Exactly what you asked. So, do we have to bring witnesses? Does he have to bring witnesses that he was a shchimera at the time, or what? Says the Gemara, raya, top of the page. When we say that, Meir says that the beneficiary bring a raya. What kind of raya is it? We have an argument. Rav Huna says raya be'edim. That the beneficiary has to bring witnesses that he was a. He has to bring witnesses that he was a what do you call it? That he was not a bari at the time. He has to be that he was not a bari, that he was a shchimra at the time, and therefore now that he recovered, give it back to me. And Rav Huna says raya be'edim. Rav Huna says no. That sorry, I skipped a line. What's it? Rav Chizda Rav Huna Amri raya b'kiyam ashtar. They have to prove that the shtar is correct. Now, we had a machlekes in Gemara Ksubis, which is that if you bring a shtar and the loiva is moided that the shtar is a good shtar, but I paid it back. So a shtar that was niskayim by the loiva himself, but he has a story. Do we say pesha asa pesha ita, or do we say like Chesa says migud and mezuyif? He could have said it's a forged shtar. Now I'm telling you it's a real shtar, but I paid it back. Do we believe him or not? And we had a machlekes there. If he's saying I wrote the star as a shchimra. That means the star is worthless. It's a worthless star. That's exactly moide b'shtar shekosei. And the question is tzarich l'kaima or not. Do we say that since he's moide the star is a good star, and then he comes with a story afterwards? The story afterwards cannot discount. Yeah, do we say cannot discount the star, or do we say since the entire basis for the veracity of this star is his words, and he's now explaining that the star actually has no basis, then these people have to be mekayim it. So they have to bring a raya, even though this guy says, yes, the star is real, but I'm passing it because I was a shchimra at the time. So they have to bring a raya, the beneficiary have to bring a raya that the star is actually real, outside of what he said. Bring edim to the what? The star is real. Says the Gemara. So we're talking now the chachamim. The chachamim will say, "Hamaitzi mechaved al baraya." Who's the maitzi? The beneficiaries. What do they have to do? What kind of raya should the beneficiaries bring? The other guy brings a raya. He was a shchimera. What do they bring? Either according to Rav Huna, they bring edim. They bring witnesses. No, he was a buddy at the time. Or they have to prove that this star they can recognize the signatures, bring you the agent themselves, whatever it is, to prove that this star is real. Otherwise, if you're lying on the shchimera, he's telling you it's a shchimera, so it's useless. Now the Gemara explains. Rabbi Huna says that the raya is edim, and what's the machlekes? Their whole argument is centered around machlekes we learned yesterday. Or Rabbi Yaakov, Rab Nosson. Rab Nosson said the chazak of today reflects on back then. So if he's a bari today, it reflects back and then that he was a bari back then. So therefore he loses unless he can prove that he was a shchimera. That's Rab Meir. He has to bring the witnesses that he was a shchimera. And the Chacham holder Rabbi Yaakov know that the earlier chazak reflects on later, since he's a mugzik in the assets. The person who now recovered, he's the mugzik. So therefore, the beneficiaries, the Chachamim, they have to bring a raya that know that he was a body at the time. However, Rab Chizda and Rabbi Hunamri, they say, Raya became a starker that you know what they're arguing on? Their whole argument centers around whether they have to be Mekayim a star or not. In other words, since the only way we know that this star is kosher is because this Shchivra claims that I wrote the star. Yes, I gave you the star. So he just made a kosher. But immediately afterwards, he said, but I gave it to you in the state of a shchibra. Now I'm healthy. The star is useless. The question is, once he certifies the star too late, and therefore the beneficiary, he has to now prove. That's a meir. Meir holds, you don't have to prove it. So therefore, who has, now that the shchibra says, I gave you a star, but I want you to know at the time of the shchibra, he has to prove the shchibra. Or do we say since this shchibra who certified the star right away said the star is useless because I was a shchibra at the time and now I recovered, they have to then prove that the star is kosher, otherwise they cannot collect with that star. Therefore, they have to go. The beneficiaries are the ones who have to bring that the star. What do they have to prove? That the star was kosher. If that's the whole machlekes, whether a star that's certified by the let's say the borrower, and then he explains it away, whether you have to still verify the star or not. But you is exactly the same machlekes, more or less in Merk Suvis. And there we had the time we learned ain't nem money lepaisla, which they come along and say yes, we recognize the signature. There's a good star, but anusim hayinu, we were coerced into signing. We were coerced. It's not our fault. We didn't. The whole thing is a Bava Basra. It never really happened, but we had no choice. We were forced into it. For example, let's say we were young at the time. We were under Bar Mitzvah when we signed it, and therefore this is the whole thing is not valid. The Gemara there discusses whether anusim is machmas mammon or machmas the when you coerced. Is it because they were paid off, or they were forced one way? Is it because they were paid off, or forced because they were threatened they're going to be killed? Because if they were paid off, they're making themselves a shoyim. Do we believe them? If they're saying that we were threatened to be killed, then of course you believe them. So which one is it? Anyway, but the point is, the Rameir says that once they've certified the star, they can't come along afterwards and cancel it. And the Chachamim, in other words, ain't tzarich l'kaimer. He can't undo it. And the Chachamim say ne'em money, that since the agent one is certified it, now they're telling us no good, they believe. So moide b'shtar shekosher tzarich l'kaimer. You have to find some other proof that the star is real. So it's the same machlekes. It's not so simple. It's not the same machlekes. The difference is who's canceling the star. In our case over here, the shchibra who said the star was good, then comes along and said, but it's no good because I was a shchibra at the time. He alone. In that case, in Maruk Suvis, it's two witnesses who are telling you the star is no good. Now, we would have thought that two witnesses can't cancel a star, even though they're the same witness who signed, but they're telling you, we were young, we were under Bar Mitzvah then. Maybe witnesses, we believe them to cancel a star. In our case, it's only one person, so it's very different. So you must therefore we need both machlekes. The eat by here, we only do the case of by he come Rabban of this. Rabban say we cancel the star. You have to prove from another source that the star is real. Because the Eidim are powerful, they have the right, the ability to cancel a star. They certified it and then they cancel it. But over here, he alone wants to cancel the star. You can't. No. The eat over here, but how come over here? The Meir says using the same logic, we'll say forget. Over here. Meir says that what that he cannot cancel the star. You don't have to be Mekayim because he's a single person. Maybe the Meir is moed in Gemara Ksubis with the two witnesses canceling that he's taka canceled. And if we need both. Then the Gemara continues. Rabba learned like Rab Huna that Raya means be'edim. When we say the Chachamim say the beneficiaries have to bring a Raya. What kind of Raya does it bring? Witnesses that this person was a shchimra, was a bari at the time. My time, Abaye then asks Rabba, why are you suspect? Why do you need to bring a proof that he was a body at the time? Was suspicious that maybe he was not a body at the time. Because generally speaking, when you write a contract and somebody's healthy, you would preface it by saying, "Kad havi mahalach haraglai b'shuka," when he was able to go in the marketplace, roam the marketplace. Nobody's saying he's a healthy person. And here it didn't have that preamble. So that tells us that maybe the Shchimna, so at least it raises our suspicions. And therefore, the beneficiaries have to bring Adim that he was actually a Bari at the time. Is that the grounds for that? Then Adirabba, and then I would say just the other way around. When all the story of Shchimna, it always starts off when this person was sick, lying in bed. The whole customer here didn't have that introduction. Ishmael and a buddy of it. Equal memahachi, the equal memahachi. Okay, mine becheskes more. This is Rabbi answering back to Abaya. Rabbi saying back to Abaya, because you're right, we don't know how to read this star. Which way is it? So we have a rule. Whenever there's a suffix cheskes moment, who owns the assets? The shchivara. So therefore, if these beneficiaries want it, they have to bring a raya. So you know what the Rabbi learns like Rabbi Huna. Says the Gemara, this machlek is a Rab Huna. And Rab Huna says that we're talking about that the beneficiaries bring an eye Aiden. And Rab Chizda says no, that they have to bring a right that the star is valid because the star itself is not considered valid. Why isn't the star valid? Because that's what Chacham. They have to prove because you're relying on this Shchimra, but he's telling the star is no good. So therefore, they have. That's what we're talking about. Is there actually the machlekes Rabbi Yechanan and Reish Lakish? Same machlekes. Rabbi Yechanan Raya, but the Chachamim say Raya means behidim. Like Ravuna. That why the beneficiary bring Eidim. That Bechal the guy was a Shchimra. It was a body at the time, and Rabbi Shimon Lakish Raya became a star. Shimon Lakish says no, that they have to bring a raya that the star is a good star because you're relying on this shchimra. Rabbi Yechanan asked his brother-in-law a question. There's a story, B'nei Brak, story in Bnei Brak, Be'echad shemocha b'nichsei aviv. Somebody sold, let's say Shimon sold his father's, some of his father's assets, they maybe had a right to, the mace, and then he died. No, the seller, this orphan who took his share of the assets and he sold, and he died. And what happened was, Amdu Allah b'nei mishpacha, his family, his siblings, got up, or maybe he was the only child, and he Yashim, if he dies, and no heirs, he goes to the uncles. And they all complain, this kid who sold it was a kid. No, but even though there's a star, so genuine, but he had no right to sell. In fact, we'll learn tomorrow that you have to be 20 years old before you can sell property, not 13. So, but he was a cotton, literally a cotton. So therefore, the sale didn't happen. It belongs to the kid, and because the kid is dead, we yashin the kid. Bolu, they went. So right now we think that the assets are still sitting by the family, by the seller. It didn't yet change hands. And that these people, the buyers, are the ones that come over and say, hey, give us the land that we bought. Here's a star. The buyer said, 1 second, we think he's a god. How are we going to prove it? Let's exhume the body and see if he had sinus. He said to them, you're not allowed to denigrate a corpse, number one. And number two, could be that before Misa it would be considered a shumra, which means it's only a growth. But after Misa, suddenly it looks like he's by mitzvahs. You can't prove anything. The Bank Town brings an interesting shot. Could be before Misa the hair was white, which is a shumra, which is just a growth. And after Misa it changed colors, became black. And therefore it looks like shteisidus. And the other Shayim say, where do you find there's a difference in color of hair? So others say, depending on whether they're follicles or not. In order for it to be shteisidus, it has to be follicles. There has to be little holes. And could be, when he was alive, there were no follicles, but after this kid died, suddenly follicles appeared. So nobody can bring a raya. Okay, that's the story. So what's Rabbi Yechon bring a raya from here? So we're going to follow. I mean, I say that these buyers, the lukuchas, they have to go find witnesses that what that this kid was bar mitzvah at the time when he sold it. Keep on the lukuchas. I see Adrian. What happened was he told them find witnesses that this kid was bar mitzvah. It's not a bar mitzvah that he had stasitis at the time that he sold it. They can't find it. So I knew the cost of they said, what should we do? Let us exhume the body. Makes sense, the story. You say that the buyers, what do they have to do? All they have to do is prove that the star was a real star. Now let's see. If they could find the Adim that they signed the star, we have a chazaka that Adim would not have signed the star for kids. They hurt your own reputation. Well, your signatures are worthless. What's your credibility worth if you're giving starters for kids that are not allowed to sell? So the moment they have Adim that the star is kosher, they walk away with the property. So why exhume the body? Well, why even talk about exhuming a body? Talk about finding Adim the star is correct, and that you can find. Or compare the signatures. You say that I became a star. Why by the L'kaim Shtarayu? Let's just be Mekayim the star, and they'll look at the Nechasim, they'll take the Nechasim away. Because we'll rely on the Chazaka that Adim will not sign on the star unless the kid is on mitzvah. Says the Gemara, so the Shlakish answers back. You totally misunderstood the story here. The asses are not sitting with the Yoshim, and the Lekuchas are trying to take it out the way around. The Lekuchas have the asses. They bought it. And now that the kid died, the Yoshim are trying to take it away from the Lekuchas. They're saying to the Lekuchas, when our brother or our nephew sold it, he was under Bar Mitzvah. So therefore, proving the star is accurate proves nothing. How does that help the case? Makes it, if any, worse. How does it help the case? They want to say that he was a cotton at the time. So who's the one who has to prove now? Since the muhzik now is the lekuchas, these are the moitzi, the Goshen and moitzi. They're the ones who have to prove that our brother or nephew was a kid at the time. So that's why they have to exhume the body. They couldn't find any witnesses to say that. You think that the assets are sitting with the family? The also the kuchim and the lekuchas are the ones who are taking it out. The lekuchas are sitting by the lekuchas. The also ben mishpacha will come out of it, and the family is the one who's taking it out. And in fact, Hochinam Mistab proves that's the case. Because what happened was when Akiva said, "Oh, this is a fascinating Gemara here," brought down in the poskim. So what happened here? Rabbi Akiva said, "You can't. First of all, you can't exhume the body," and they didn't argue that point. Yeah, cover the mace. Yeah, we'll see in a minute. There's a cover the mace. So he says, "Hochinam Mistab." He said to them, "You cannot exhume the body." They said nothing. They didn't kind of say, we don't care. We need to see because we're going to lose the property now. And if you tell me it's the family has to wait up. Will they denigrate or they desecrate the body of their brother or their nephew because of this? They won't do it. Therefore they say, no, no matter how much money is involved, you can't do that. If you tell me it's lekuchas, I'm Aishaski. So what if the guy's manovel? We gave money, cash in his hand. We have a property. We want the property here. Who cares if we're desecrating the body? It's a fascinating thing then. So what's the Easter of desecrating the body? Comes out from here that Easter of desecrating the body is more covered ha'chaim than covered ha'mace. Because if it's covered ha'mace, so what if you gave money? Therefore what? You're allowed to desecrate the body. So it's more like the cover of Chaim. So the family won't do it or can't do it. But the Fremde, they don't care. Exactly. Business is business. Anyway, so the Gemara, so Rabbi Yechon counters, if that's your whole proof to say that I learned wrong shot, I can learn another way. Why? This is what Rabbi Kiva is saying to them. He's telling the Lekuchas. First of all, you're not allowed to be menavelit. But the Shloka said, but they can kind of, we lost money. You'll say, Zuzi Shokal, he took our money, we don't care. I want you to know there's no point, because Simani Masurin Lishtan is Lachamisa. Rabbi Yechon is agreeing with the Shlokish in principle that it's not a problem of being menavel a corpse if there's a purpose for it. If there's a purpose. Okay. Which is what opens the whole thing there about when you want to move out someplace, when you move a body from a thing, how strict do we have to be? We are very strict. We have a mace. but there's more leniencies allowed based on this Gemara here. You see it for money. You can exhume a body for other circumstances. They have these basic quotas in Europe. In about 20 years, they let people bury it in, and they take it over. Then they just the government, because they have no space. So, can you take away the body straight away? Do you have to wait for 20 years? You have to wait till the last minute. These kind of shayla. You take one further. Shaul Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish came and asked Rabbi Yochanan a question.
Yeah, used to have such an Indian over here in Likat Thomas. They used to collect the bugs and then put them away in a storage thing.
We'll learn all about this whole sugi. We learn actually nothing involved in Sanhedrin. Okay. Says the Gemara, Shaul Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish asked Rabbi Yochanan a question. So the way we learned is according to the Rabban Raya that the Lekuchas need to prove the veracity of the star, because Meir Star Shakos with Tzad L'Kaimai. And according to the Meir, they don't have to prove the veracity of the star at all. It's the Shchibara has to prove that he's the Shchibara, but the buyers or the recipients, the beneficiaries, they have to prove nothing. So the Meir holds Meir Star Shakos ain't Tzad L'Kaimai, and the Chacham holds and Moed B'Shach Tzara L'Kaimai. Let me ask you a question. Sure, if you look at we learned in the Braisa from Bar Kapoda, because one of the Toseftos is written by Kapoda, says the following: this guy, let's say Shimon, was going into Reuben's field for a number of years and eating all the crop. He was eating all the crop, and after a while, everyone assumed, or he said, "It's my field." That's why he's going there. Nobody questioned it. He had a chazak. The Kardal of Echiditer, then came along a guy and says, he was ma'added it, he complained. Layman, he said, Shaliu. He said, you should know that you're in my field. So this person who used to go in, let's say Shimon, pulled out his star. He pulled out his star. And Layman, you sold me. I have a document you sold to me. I should have sat me matana, whatever. You gave it to me as a gift. If the guy, the Reuben says, it's not my handwriting, it's a fraudulent shtar, then of course what happens then? Shimon has to prove for the veracity of the shtar. Then you we got to find the agent, people recognize things or whatever. But if he says shtar passimo, this is what you asked yesterday about a shtar. Shtar passim is where I want people to think that I'm rich to make my business easier and so on and so forth. So I say to you, give me a shtar that you sold me this field. I'll never act on it because I'm not planning to take the field. I just want people to think that I own the field so that I'll get what mitigation says. He wants to get married to a woman and he wants to pretend that he's rich. He didn't say he's rich. Because you learn the whole Mishnah Kedushin that you deceive. He just wants people the word should get out there that he has, he owns this property, he bought that house, he bought this for you, all that kind of stuff. And that's called a shtar pasim. So it's not a genuine. So the shtar is real, but he said it's a useless piece of paper. Right, so he's mekayim shtar, but right away he mevatel it. Or shtar mana, or I wrote a shtar with a faith that one day you'll pay me the money. So I didn't really give it to you yet. I just wrote it up, get it all ready. The moment you have the money, collect the money, I'll give you the shtar. In other words, what's he saying here? He's mekayim shtar, but immediately matter what he's canceling. Reuben then Rabbi says useless. He never paid me for it. So then we say, this is what the Braisa says. Im yesh edim. So if there are witnesses, or after the witnesses, if there are witnesses that he bought the field, whatever it is, or if you have no witnesses to prove one way or another, then you look at the shtar. When we look at the shtar, that means we are going to say that the shtar is a valid shtar, even though the guy is discounting it. In other words, shtar that for loiva is moide, the shtar that was written. Ain't tzarich l'kaima. The malva no longer has him l'kaima. These buyer, this Shimon, can use the shtar and prove that he bought the field. That's l'chayra meir. Why would Bar Kapoda write a Tosefta, stamp Tosefta, follow a meir that a shtar lame but a meir? Domar moide b'shtar. So a shtar that was written ain't tzarich l'kaima. V'loi rabbanan. So Omar lei said to him, loi no, said to him. Rabbi Yochanan said to him, that's not pshat at all. Shani Oimer, I say, divrei hakol, everyone agrees. That moide b'shtar sheksav ain't all the time. Rabbi Yochanan now says, when I hold there's no machlekes. No machlekes, meir, chacham, everyone agrees that a moide b'shtar sheksav, once you moide, You don't have to be Mekayim anymore. The person who verified it can no longer discount it. What do you mean? We know Rameh Zang the Chum. Same question we had a minute ago in Amid Aleph. That now we're looking through this. Ain't a money lepaisa. The Adim come along and say it's a good start, but then they say that Anusim hayinu, Ktanim hayinu. They're not believed to pass. In other words, that a star should cause ain't tzarich l'kaimai. The Chachamim say no money, but they can't pass the star. Clearly, it's a machlekes and bar kapot is following Rameh. How can it be? Malay said Rabbi Yechon said, I believe, not like we learned Gemara before, that it's the same. I believe there's a difference between Gemara and Ksubas and this case here. I grant you that over there, Rameya says that they can, the Chachamim say you can cancel a star because it's Eidim or canceling star. They're saying, yes, it's rewrote it, but Ktanim, we're youngsters. So Eidim have the right to cancel the star. Or the EU, Kol Kamine, but he alone wants to cancel, he can't. I hold that everyone agrees that if he was made the star as a proper star, he cannot then come along and say, yeah, but it was a star passim or a star amona or I paid it. He can't. EU Kol Kamine. So Bar Kapora is following everybody. What do you mean everybody? I heard you yourself said you yourself said that the Bnei Mishpacha actually had a good complaint that maybe the star was not a good star, and you have to prove the star is right. You're saying that a star shiksavi ain't tzarich l'kaim according to everybody, and over there the Mishpacha says Taka, our brother, our nephew wrote a star, but he was a cotton at the time. So they were Mekayim Star, and then they canceled it, and you said Yofa Ida Rubin Mishpacha. That's a good taina, and now these buyers have to prove. But you're telling me now that everyone agrees that once you made the stars of genuine stars, ain't it tzarich l'kaim. The Lekucha shouldn't have to prove anything. Let them prove that he was. They should be proving that he was a cotton at the time. Sorry, they're made it. Yes, noch besser. They didn't write noch besser, and yet he said, "Okay, they didn't write the star, so that's why they can't pass it." Maybe. But the Gemara said, "Amalei zu Eliezer Amr." They say, so Rabbi Yechon said, "Don't look at me. It wasn't me who said it. It was my Talmud Rabbi Lazar." And I never said it, but because Rabbi Lazar always quoted Rabbi Yechon, they thought I said it. In fact, we had a Gemara where Rabbi Yechon was very angry with Rabbi Lazar because he once said halacha without saying his name. And the Talmid, I forgot which Talmud it was, said Rabbi Yechon, and he had makbid and everything else. They said to him, everyone knows that whatever Rabbi Lazar says comes from you, so they don't have to say all the time Amar Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Yechon. And noch daite. Now it worked against him.
He didn't want to get a
Amar Rabbi Zayda said, "Im yich for Rabbi Yechon Rabbi Lazar Tamid." Look at the lashon. Rabbi Yechon wants to wiggle his way out, and he's denying that he said it, and he blames it on his Talmud Rabbi Lazar. Rabbi Yichva, but Rabbi Yana Rabbi, he can deny that what he told his own Rebbe. And what's that? Rabbi Yana said, Rabbi Yana said that the halacha should be that if you made the bishtar, and then you say that it's a disqualified star, the beneficiary has to be mekayim, right? Like Rameir. And you yourself, Rabbi Yechon said, the Rebbe loy mishnah saying Yezu. Didn't we learn a mishnah about Chachamim Ein Moed Al Baraya and Ein Raya Kim Bishtar? Rabbi Yechon himself now is changing what he said before. That's Raya Be'edim, and now he's saying like Shlokish. That's Raya Be'kim Bishtar. You're saying that a Moed Bishtar Shekosri. You're saying is that what that you have to be a Raya Kim Bishtar. Ein Raya Be'kim Bishtar. So you yourself clearly said that you have to mekayim it. Forget about Rabbi Lazar. Don't put on your Rabbi Lazar Talmud. You told Rabbi Yana that you hold. So you can't then say it wasn't me with my Talmud Rabbi Lazar. So you also the mekayim. And Bar Kapora said that what do you call it? That he's that you have to make that's the view of Rameir. So you are Paschal Rameir. How can you be Paschal Rameir? That's tzarich l'kaimai. And this time you said it. You said it yourself. So the Gemara. Okay. So the Gemara right. So the problem is Bar Kapora Paskin in his brisa that you can rely on the star and you don't have to mekayim it. And you came back with an answer that everyone holds you don't have to mekayim it. So we're asking Rabbi Yechon, what do you mean everyone holds? You yourself told you Rebbe Rabbi Yanai that's Tzaddik L'Kaimai. You're passing Tzaddik L'Kaimai. And you learned that we've shot in the Mishnah. Says the Gemara, but needing, no, when the Mishnah says, you said that it means that they have to bring a raya that the star is real. In other words, Tzaddik L'Kaimai. And now you're telling me, I said that Bakapora's Mishnah goes to go to everybody because everybody holds ain't Tzaddik L'Kaimai. But you yourself told Rabbi Yana, but the halacha should be Tzaddik L'Kaimai. So, and forget what Rabbi Lazar said that you're saying Rabbi Lazar. You yourself said it. So the Gemara now is going to turn everything around. But Ram needed with Rabbi Yosef, as Gemara said, we have to learn Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Zayda say we'll have to follow Rabbi Yosef. The Amar Rabbi Yosef, Rabbeinu Yosef. You never find that expression of Rabbi Yosef. Rabbeinu Yosef. Amar Rabbi Yehuda Mishmor. Rabbi Yosef was a Talmud. Rabbi Yehuda was a Talmud Mishmor. Interesting. Yeah, I think it's the only time I can remember it says Rabbeinu Yosef. Rabbi Yehuda Mishmor. Abaye never called him Rabbeinu Yosef, even though he was the most loyal.
That's everything the bad
Zudi v'chachamim. Rabbi Yehuda said that this is the word. This is what Rabbi Yechon said. These are the words of Rachamim. You're right. The Chachamim hold that ain't Tzaddik L'Kaimai, and Bakapara is following the Chachamim that ain't Tzaddik L'Kaimai. When he said Divrei Hakel, he meant the Chachamim. Avram Meir Taka holds that a Moide B'Shtar Shekasa Tzaddik L'Kaimai. That Meir holds that a Moide B'Shtar Shekasa Tzaddik L'Kaimai. The Chacham hold that ain't Tzaddik L'Kaimai, which is exactly the opposite of our Mishnah. Because our Mishnah said that they have to bring a Raya Shtar is good. And now you're telling me that Rabbanan hold that Moed B'Shtar Shekasa ain't Tzaddik L'Kaimai. And Meir says you got that the Shchibah has to bring aid in because the receivers are believed automatically because the star is good. Aid of the L'Kaimai. And now you're telling me that Meir holds Tzaddik L'Kaimai. We'll come back in a minute. Well, my Divrei Hakel, so the way you're learning right now, that you turn everything around. The Rabbanan are the one who hold that ain't Tzaddik L'Kaimai, and you said that everyone holds. It's not everyone's holding the Rabbanan. That Meir argues. If you go to Rabbanan, the Gabbai Meir Divrei Hakel. I have a right to say Divrei Hakel when it's the Rabbanan versus the Meir. But now Mishnah prove a care. It says that the Chacham is the one to say Chacham said that buyers have to prove the star is real, and you're telling me now Chacham hold that Moed B'Shtar Shekasa ain't you could trust the star. Eifuch. Swap the names of the Mishnah around. After all this, but Tanya, but we're listening more Ksuvas. Ain't them the place amazing want to hold that the Eidim cannot disqualify because Moed B'Shtar Shekasa ain't Tzaddik L'Kaimai, and the Chacham is saying that money you believe the Eidim because Tzaddik L'Kaimai. Turn those names around as well. But Rabbi Yechon, the name was Rabbi Yechon Raya Be'edim Kama. You start off the whole sugya. Rabbi said the Raya Be'edim. That means what? That the star itself is that he has to bring a Raya. Otherwise, they could use the star. That means that what ain't Tzaddik L'Kaimai. Eifuch. Turn everything around. Leima Leifuch. Turn everything around. So Taisa says over here, interesting. If you're turning everything around, then all the kashas we have at Rabbi Yechon's Lakish don't make sense anymore. Because now Rabbi Yechon is the one on the other side. So Tay says, you're right. We have a number of times the Gemara, we have a whole sugya, and at the end we realize the whole thing never happened. This whole conversation never happened. Could have happened. Tay says it. Look at Tay there. The last page on the page. That you don't have to mekayim it. Yeah, so he says here, he never said it. The coolest sugi delil, less if you must go. It never happened.
So the whole thing was a discussion of the fantasy.
Yeah, it never happened. And then we take these other places, we have the same thing. In other Gemaras, we have a whole discussion, and it never happened. It just never happened. Interesting. Anyway. So you want to say, if so, let's also swap around the tiyufta. Before we had a bit of there's a few more lines. So it should be the shlokish asab yechin because we're swapping around the whole machlekes. This one yechin said shlokish. According to me, I'm the one now in this version. I'm the one that says raya became a star. I'm the one that says when it says raya, it doesn't mean witnesses. It means prove the veracity of the star. And I hold, according to the Rabbanon, you don't have to be Mekayim anymore. I tried, and the Rabbanon the one to hold that you don't have to be Mekayim because Moed B'Shtar Shekasa ain't Tzaddik L'Kaimai. It's the Shchibana has to prove that he was a Shchibana at the time. Otherwise, we rely on the Shtar. Hainu the mishkachel. If we can find the nachtin lekuchas and lechasim, therefore we can find that the lekuchas took the lechasim, and now it's the yoshim are coming to complain. Like we said before, it makes sense because they kept quiet. The lekuchas said, "No, we're going to go and if it would have been lekuchas, they would have said lenava. We want our money back." Then why were they quiet? It's who was the matter? Who was the claimant here? Who was the plaintiff? It was the family. Okay, it makes sense because they had a good star, and therefore they took the nechasim. They had a good star. It makes sense why they had it. On the dark, you say what that we have to prove that it was actually a godel at the time when he sold it. Why are they? Why do they have the nechasim? Why do they have the nechasim? Why did we give it to nechasim in the first place? We gave it to them, and the way we learned Pshat, they gave it to them, and their argument is continuing to Shlokish that they have to actually prove with Adim that this kid was actually a godel. Then why are we talking about a case where the nechasim already by the why did they get it? Amalei. So the Shlokish says no, it's not a kasha. I will be made to you. Be eaten in this particular case where the bnei mishpacha are complaining, we're going to give the nechasim to the lekuchas. And why is that? The whole star, base of the star is from the family. So the lab. But remember one thing: even though it's they're not the one who wrote the star, but they're the ones who are giving credibility to the star. The kid is no longer around. I don't know the star's question. They're saying we know that our brother wrote the star or our nephew wrote the star, so they gave it credence. But you should know that he was a cut at the time. That's why it's still the same thing. A peshas, a peshita, because they're the ones who give the credibility as well. The cut is no longer alive. If the cut to be alive, just check out if he has or not, or this. No, but the lav iru, and I agree with you in this case here that we'll trust the star and their claim is not clear. You know why? My company, what are they saying? They're claiming that he was a child, a minor. We don't believe any agent will put their reputation on the line for what, not for no end, and for no benefit, and therefore the definitely kid was a god.